I'm going to give a shout out to my friend. I forgot. Oh, are we on live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
What's up? It's me, Rumman.
And it's Leo, and welcome to Movie Talks.
Yes, and before we start, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Bonnie. What's up? He probably missed it, but whatever. What's up, Bonnie? Anyway, so today, Leo, you chose the film.
Yes,
What are we reviewing?
This week, we are reviewing the 1995 anime classic Ghost in the Shell.
Yes, and if that sounds familiar, not a readaptation.
It's an adaptation.
Adaptation. Well, I can't speak. Adaptation in live action was starring Scarlett Johansson, was just released actually recently. And Leo, I have knowledge that you watched it. So today, I think it'll be kind of like Leo, what do you think of what they did right? And I'll just kind of jump in and just give my points on what I think about it, and all that stuff. So what you just heard right now is the opening theme song, which honestly is like I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, because like I'm so intrigued by it, but it makes me want to like claw my eyes out. I don't know why. It's just like it's so intense. Yeah. So that's how it is. What are your thoughts on it, Leo?
Well, okay, which this movie or the movie that the recent one?
Let's say both. The movie we did, and then the.
I guess to start off, I really liked this movie.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the Ghost in the Shell franchise.
Yeah. Oh, it's a franchise.
It's a franchise. I just wrote an article about it earlier.
Oh,
right before the movie came out.
Did you really?
Trying to see, I was speculating on whether or not that Hollywood was going to ruin Ghost in the Shell.
Ooh.
And to get into the new Ghost in the Shell, it was weird because it wasn't the worst thing ever. It was like a solid 7. I was expecting
7's actually pretty good in Hollywood remakes. So.
I was expecting a lot worse, and it was pretty all right.
And what aspect did you think was worse about it? Did you the fact that maybe the casting with Scarlett Johansson, because that's been kind of
I have been on the other side of that controversy. I think that Scarlett Johansson was a very good pick. I do understand the whole whitewashing issue, but at the same time, I understand industry forces, and you need to have a superstar on a label to make
something good.
Yeah, make at least promise to a certain extent that something's going to be kind of good. And I thought her interpretation of Major was interesting.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like either she didn't read the source material, or 2, they told her to not read it because it was a very different type of interpretation.
Yeah.
Not very different, but like it was it wasn't based in the roots of the character.
Yeah.
But it was still interesting nonetheless. As exactly as I had predicted, it was visually stunning. It was fucking gorgeous.
Yeah. It was 2017. You would expect the visuals at least to keep up.
I think it's probably the best cyberpunk landscape that I've seen in film since Blade Runner.
Oh,
I think Blade Runner is probably one of the top, just like settings and atmospheres for world building, and this one was really good, but then it failed in the writing as I had suspected.
I feel
the
like
writing was
I feel like that's what most of the fans of Ghost in the Shell was expecting. They probably expected like a weak story, but they probably went in hoping for a visually great film, and I think that's what they got. It was just like they were like, all right, the film kind of sucked, but visually it's awesome to see all this stuff come to live action. And it's interesting because in the anime the effects are not that bad either. It's animation, 1995. What I did notice is that there are some scenes where they actually just like keep the scene still and do a voiceover, and then right when they need movement, they start moving again.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But in general, the graphics were not that shabby.
Program.
Oh yeah, the damn music shit.
Oh well. But that's interesting that you say that, because actually that is just an animation technique that is kind of God, this fucking music.
I'll sing today.
It's kind of I guess it's a stylistic happenstance of anime, like specifically Japanese animation. It's if you watch a lot of anime, you'll realize that a lot of anime is just like still frames of like the character moving or just their mouth moving, and then the background, and then like maybe slightly moving.
Yeah.
And that it saves the money because it's less animation.
Yeah.
You can budget higher into the background artists. and then just kind of use that for world building.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see because now in animations, no matter what, the animators have kind of like an eye for certain things. Even when they're like not moving, they always animate the subtlest motions. And it's kind of great. But kind of going back to this, it's cool too because this is what they used to do. Well, do animes do this now? I honestly, I'm not a.
It's still a very, very common thing.
Yeah.
Even more specifically in the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which came out in about 2002.
Yeah.
Although it was one of the most at the time, it was one of the most expensive animes ever made. There were a good number of scenes that were just like characters are standing there talking, or like a slow pan of like a background.
Yeah.
But because they had put so much money into everything else, and the backgrounds were very, very well drawn and very well done, it gave a lot of world building. So at least there's visual things for you to like come and like watch.
Yeah.
But in like lower quality animes and like animes that have cheaper production values, it is a lot more evident.
All right, let me ask you a question. Was the new film PG-13 rated R?
Probably rated R. There was a lot of titties.
Oh, okay, titties.
No. I thought
I mean, like the new one, violent one. Yeah, the new one.
The new one was PG-13. The old one was probably.
That's a shame because you're right. There were a lot of titties, but there were also a lot of violence, which is what I liked. There's one scene where she twists the guy's ankle, and you can see the animation of it being twisted, and I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Done. So it just makes me wonder if if the live action actually kind of did that. But
they tried to do it. There were that specific sequence, the chase sequence into like the puddle area and like the invisible fight. That was a scene that they tried to recreate.
I saw it from the trailer, and I recognized it in the film.
And it was not well done.
Oh, really?
I think like everything that was kind of original to the film like had its own styling, and it was a lot. It had like a soul to it.
Yeah. But
anything that they tried to recreate, it did not feel right. There was a lot, and it wasn't even that it was like specific context, because like that kind of fight scene, it could really just be taken any which way. Anything could lead to that alleyway, to that puddle, to that fight scene. But the way they did it, they tried to take the garbage guy. They tried to take his storyline and then turn him and the hacker dude into the same character.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It was really weird. But when they did interrogate him in the movie, the movie interrogation was different, in that they kind of tried to like reveal to him that all his memories are fake. But instead of him just kind of like being sad about it,
he's kind of like
he then gets hacked by the villain person, and he like then talks directly to them, and then
so that's when he reveals that he's the puppet master thing. It's like
and then he kills the guy because like the guy, he's in this like weird, I guess like I don't know, a straight jacket with like cords attached to him. And the guy, he just jumps up, like pulls his legs in, and then just drops. And when he drops, his neck breaks. And it was very shocking to me. I wasn't expecting it, and I liked it a lot, actually.
Yeah, all right, well, that's good. Well,
it was unique to the film. That was like a unique.
So you think the recreations were kind of a miss, but when the film took its own way to kind of add stuff in, like maybe like the Puppet Master, it kind of landed it. It was well.
I don't know if it's like 100% landing, but it's like it was a solid effort. Like,
right.
I appreciated how they tried to do it.
Well, that's interesting because in the anime, like we talked about, the Puppet Master, they don't really, he doesn't really do a lot of evil shit. We don't really see him kill people. He does create stuff out of other stuff. There's one scene where he actually takes a body of a cyborg after he's like kicked out of the system, and it's really interesting because it's kind of creepy. Like it's kind of like it's just like a body on a wall. And then all of a sudden you see the eyes move, and then he just starts talking to them. Yeah. And it's such a really interesting reveal. And what's interesting is that like the anime itself was not long. It was like an hour and 25 minutes. So that's like while I was watching the film, I was just like how is this all gonna end? It's like this is a very short time. Like I remember when I got through like 30 minutes, there were like 40 minutes left. I was like what the Puppet Master hasn't been revealed yet. How are they exactly gonna all put this out? And they do a really good job with it.
I think it really does. This film does earn all like the acclaim that it gets for being just like a classic. And I think it's very something that I've always been very intrigued by. Is like I've always considered myself to have a lot of Western sensibilities. Yeah. And this show, or at least this franchise, I've always felt it's very Western somehow. There's something about it that feeds into like Western thought. and I think that it was that was one of the reasons that it made it very easy to adapt to a Western audience. There's not too much that's difficult to understand for like Americans or like Westerners in this type of setting. You know, it's pretty. I wouldn't say basic. Yeah, it was like kind of basic run-of-the-mill cyberpunk future stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they give you like a short exposition and it just explains everything. It's like, oh, it's 2029. You know, there are cyborgs, but also like, you know, the world has races and countries.
Yeah.
You know, and there's like, and everything's just kind of like bumped up to like a 10 but like technology wise, and you know when they show you, and like you said, the setting also, like the graphic design really does give you a sense of what's happening, because you look at it, you're like, okay, yeah, this is definitely a future place, and this definitely looks like a place where the cyborgs are like there, you know. And it's very clever how they have like section 9, section 6. So you know, I kind of want to go back to the live action if you don't mind, because I kind of want to make a comparison. So the characters, they had Major, they also have the cop guy and the other dude, I don't know their names.
So yeah, so they got basically the cast of Section 9 is the Major, Bato, Togusa.
Togusa is the big guy with the glasses. Yeah. Okay.
Aramaki, which is the old director, and then they got the supporting cast, which the ones we saw in the film was Saito and Ishikawa, and then there's two more, but they never ever matter really. And yeah, they try to bring them all over into the film. They had the guy that was the Asian banker in Dark Knight. He was Togusa, and Togusa he had like 3 lines, and so like Togusa's whole character conceit is that he's supposed to be the most like human. He's like supposed to be literally the most human, have like the least amount of cyber enhancements.
Who's Togusa again? I'm sorry.
Togusa was the guy. He had like the mullet and he had the revolver.
Oh yeah, the cop. Okay. All right, Togusa. Well, he had 3 lines. He was a pretty big character in the anime too. So I mean,
he had like very few lines, and like it was just like he said like some offhand comment about like liking to stay natural, and then like he shot some cops with his revolver. That was like it. I was kind of disappointed. He was also a little bit upset, and Togusa has always been characterized as much more like more human-like, more warm and like inviting, and like and in the show he's characterized as a family man as well.
He's a cop, you know. Even in the anime, that's how she describes it, because you know it's like, oh, the reason I got you out of here because you know you're more natural, you know, you're more human, and you know that's what we need for the team. And I thought, okay, it was nice.
Bato, he was all right.
Tall guy, right?
Yeah, the guy with the bolt eyes.
Was his character design correct? Because he looked really cool in the anime.
His character design, they did the best they could, I think.
Really?
They started
2017.
They started him off with eyeballs, and then there was an explosion that burnt his eyes, and then he got new eyes, and I was just like, oh, okay, I get it. That's what they do. And he was all right. The Major. The character design wise, I honestly think Scarlett Johansson was a very good choice. If you were to actually pick an Asian actress, I would probably want the woman from Pacific Rim.
Okay.
She, I think, would be like the best Asian one. But for a white woman, I think Scarlett Johansson was the best pick.
I think, I remember seeing her. She you know, I liked how they got the hairstyle correct, which was really nice, and of course the body and stuff, because you know the body plays a big role. You know, I think it was pretty great. And
then for Aramaki, they got Beat Takeshi, who is a very famous multi-genre, but like multi-genre. He does everything, Japanese artist. He's most famously known for directing Battle Royale, which is the movie.
I know that movie. The students
kids killing each other.
Yeah.
And
he was very famous for that movie.
Yeah, and he's done a bunch of like other like a very interesting like kind of not lowbrow, but like underworld murder crime movies.
Yeah,
he's very famous for that. He's very famous for like just kind of making really greedy shit. And one of his like trademark things is like he likes to stand over somebody with a gun and then like shoot them in the head. And then as soon like in the movie, Section 9 gets compromised for a bit, and as soon as that happened, he pulled out his gun, and I immediately turned to the person I was sitting next to, went to movie with, and I was like, I guarantee you before the end of this movie, he is going to stand over somebody on the floor and shoot them in the head.
Did he do
30 seconds later, he stood over somebody on the floor and shot them in the head.
I'm done. But that's so weird because, you know, it's just like they kind of added more character to him then. You know, in the anime, he's just kind of like this really stern man, but he never really resorts to violence. He's kind of like behind the scenes guy. He's giving out the orders. He's like, yo, do this, do that, you know?
They did. He did. And in the anime, he's always just generally characterized as having... he's old, wise, and has a lot of political and bureaucratic and military contacts. That's all really his characterization. Something with the Ghost in a Shell series, something that I write about in my article and that I wrote on blah blah blah.
Where the link at, boy?
I wrote it on the Axis. But all the characters, they're all really just kind of templates for the whole franchise. So the franchise, there's no larger canon really. Each iteration is its own thing.
Yeah.
It's basically a whole new universe every time they make a new film. So the manga is not the same universe as the movie, and the movie is not the same universe as the show. And then there was another show that came out recently that was not that great, but that's not the same universe as the other shows.
Was it the Ghost in the Shell show?
Yeah, it was called Ghost in the Shell Arise.
Oh, okay, all right.
But yeah, and so something that I've always enjoyed with that is that because they're just these very loosely characterized characters, you can then do whatever you need to do with the story with them. So, like Togusa is like, oh, you got to have a human-esque related storyline. You use Togusa. You got to have like a militaristic person. You would use Bato because Bato has always been characterized. He used to be in some type of military.
Yeah. That's also said in the anime too.
Yeah.
Some kind of military man.
Yeah.
There's a part where he actually shows up with like a military grade like fucking rocket launcher. He's like, oh yeah, I gotta keep it as a prize.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
And because like it's just so loosely defined, and so then you can just do whatever with it, and it's something I've always enjoyed.
So here's the thing. So the Puppet Master. Now in the anime, it's the Puppet Master is something created by Section 6, and it just eventually becomes self-aware and is a bit more deep. But in the movie, from what I've gathered from the trailer, correct me if I'm wrong, he was a ghost, a previous ghost who just went haywire, who realized that these people were like making these people, other people,
all right.
shit.
So
explain that shit to me. How was the Puppet Master portrayed in the live
So in the live action, it was like a weird mishmash of characters.
Yeah.
In the live action, they took the identity of some guy, Hideo Kuze, who I think was a character from the second season of Standalone, and he was the leader of a terrorist group. And I don't necessarily remember exactly what his storyline was.
Yeah.
But in the movie, they turned into like kind of a mishmash of that and the Puppet Master. And made him this like weird, almost omnipotent villain that used other people to create like a large neural network. And he was actually subject to the same tests that the Major was. Yeah. Because in the movie, the Major doesn't really have any memories. She's just kind of put into a body, and they never explain anything to her really. She becomes a weapon. Yeah. And then they find out, you're like this many iterations in, there were other failures, and apparently he was one of the failers. Yeah. And
that's what I meant. Yeah, like he was one of the failures, and he just like. And
something I thought it was super ballsy of them, but her name wasn't Makoto in the movie. It was like Miri Kurian or something like that. And then you find out later that the reason that her name was changed is because there was another character called Makoto. And Makoto and Hideo were these two characters that were kidnapped, and their brains were then put into these separate things. Yeah. So she actually has Makoto's brain in her, like the Makoto character, and in the end, it's her standing over Makoto's grave, and then, like Makoto's mom comes and like says and like hugs her and shit, and it was really weird and ballsy of them. Yeah. I don't think it went over that well. They tried to own up to it, but it didn't work out.
Oh wow. Okay. So if you don't stick to source material. That's interesting because in the anime, like I said, the Puppet Master is very like kind of. I thought it was very cool because he was like I've seen everything from the intro web, and I think he makes a deal with the Major who says we should merge and create kind of a new generation of the. But from what I'm hearing from the Puppet Master in the live adaptation, that's not the case at all. He's just trying to fuck with people. He's a bit more crazier.
Yeah, he just kind of wants revenge for like what they did to him because they both can't really remember their past.
Yeah. So, but do they ever reveal the past? Like, what is the Major's past? Like, was she like a lady who just died? And
they were apparently a couple of like very headstrong like anti-government people, and they were like living in this kind of like in this place called the Lawless Zone. Yeah. And then like this major corporation came and like stormed them and like took them away and then used them for experiments.
Oh wow. Yeah. that's crazy. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was kind of relatively simple. Like nothing all too great about it, honestly.
I mean, in the anime, they never reveal what the past.
Makoto's past in the anime, or like just her kind of general characterization of her past, has been either she had some type of disease, or she had some type of accident when she was very young, and then at a very young age had to become fully cyberized. And then it's just been her always dealing with that and not necessarily feeling too human because of that, because she's always been, since a very young age, been in a robot body. And then her other characteristics, you know, she's super smart, super strong, and is like a fucking grade A super plus hacker. So
like you say, it was PG-13, the live action. But did they do anything? Like, did they cut off Bato's arm?
They basically redid the whole point where she tried to open up the top of the spider tank.
Oh, that was insane.
And then just kind of like it just all
got
that
fell
breaks.
apart.
They did that in the movie, and it was kind of okay. I thought it was a decent recreation of it.
It was kind of funny because in the anime, when I saw it, I was just like, I don't know if I'm aroused or kind of scared right now, because, you know, she's like bulked up, and then you see her like boobs, and they're like really big. You're like, oh my god, this is, I don't know what to feel
it was
right now.
all like it's just muscle, just definition out of nowhere.
But like, you know, in the series level, it was really fucking intense, because like then once you start seeing her getting teared apart, it was just like, holy shit, man, like this is crazy. And then, you at one point you think she's gonna get crushed, and you know he comes and saves her, and there's all that I thought the ending of the anime was really nice too, because the whole banter between her and the puppet master I thought was pretty cool, and the fact that Bato couldn't have any access to it, I thought it was even more intense, you know. And they're just kind of talking back and forth, like, you know, I believe in the future, you know, I think we should merge, and she's kind of like, what about me though, like, won't I die? And he's like, no, you know, this is for the greater good and all that shit. They're literally just having a fucking conversation after, throughout the whole film. They're like, you know, this guy's pretty fucking evil, just like stay away, he's gonna hack into your shit. You know, I really think the portrayal of Puppet Master was interesting, because they kind of, like, it wasn't anything evil, like, because like I said, he never kills, you know, he hacks into shit, he ruins shit, but he never really takes a life. You know what I mean? So like it was pretty interesting to see that, and throughout the whole movie they really do have the hype.
I think, well, because the crime he did commit, he committed multiple ghost hacking.
And like, you know, he's like on the most wanted list, so which is why, like, you know, the U.S. they mentioned the U.S. too. They're like, you know, this is why the U.S. is participating with them. Like, yeah, you know what, we'll help him catch you and shit like that, you know.
And like I don't know if they explained it well enough in the film for you, but like your ghost is essentially supposed to be like your soul.
Actually, I wanted to ask that. So what is up with the whole ghost? Explain to me, explain to everyone listening.
So apparently, like, so in Ghost in the Shell, it's like it's post singularity, like. Artificial intelligence has like reached its peak, like it's essentially equivalent with humans, and like every technology is fucking awesome and crazy. But since you can be put into a fully robotic body, the only thing that makes you human is this concept that they call like a ghost, and it's essentially what they quantify your soul as. It's just essentially your soul. Basically, it's the aspects that make you human, and it's your kind of like your consciousness and whatnot. And so because of that, that's always been the defining line. Like artificial intelligence, if they're made, they don't have a ghost, so they're not human. Or but
that's what makes them different from the ghosts in the show.
But even if you're like a fully robotic person, if you still have your ghost, that still makes you human.
So by human, they mean like they can still feel, they can still have aspirations in life. Like what is that?
Kind of like that. And like that's another issue of the film, in the anime film. Like Makoto and Bato have like a small issue where she's trying to figure out like what makes her human. And like, is it the ghost, or is it the way that people treat me? And do people only treat me this way because I'm in a human-like body? If
I thought that was a really great scene.
Like, what would happen?
I thought it was intense, because it really showed like how she's actually struggling with herself, because she doesn't know who she is. And you know, there's a scene where she's like diving into the water, and you know, it's really intense, because you know, she's a goddamn cyborg, but she's doing all this like stuff regular people usually do, you know. So it just kind of brings up the fact that, you know, it's like, what, like you said, what makes her human, you know? Is it the ghost? Is it because what she looks like? Is it because, you know, what she does? You know, it's like it brings up all these qualities, which is why I think the interaction with the puppet master makes it even better, because, you know, she's still trying to figure out, and she's like, and like the reason she wanted kind of dive in was because she kind of wanted answers. And she's like, you know, maybe the puppet master himself could like, I'm assuming.
And the puppet master, like his whole goal was like, he was trying to create a ghost. Because like he's kind of this artificial intelligent entity throughout the internet,
And eventually he takes in a body eventually to create his own kind of. Was it explained? Was it a ghost he created, or was he just like
he was trying to make a ghost?
Yeah,
he was trying to.
So he never succeeds, but like it's just artificial intelligence.
I mean it's debatable whether or not he succeeded. I think because he does, like, when he manifests himself in the body in front of the two chiefs of like Section 9 and Section 6.
Yeah,
he requests. It's such a ballsy move, in my opinion. He requests political asylum as an individual entity.
That was really funny.
And I was just like, wow, really?
What, really, like, seriously, dude, you're in a machine. Are you really gonna start asking questions? It was cool too, because, like, we're just like, holy shit, what the fuck? It's talking, And I love that whole scene where they were just like, yo, is the doctor a cyborg? And they're like, oh, the pressure thing. It took 3 milliseconds before it closed, and all that weird jumble. And I'm just like, what's up with that?
One of the downsides of Ghost in a Shell is that it does get into a bit of technobabble.
It does.
But it is, if you take time to, like, sit and see what they're saying, it makes sense. It's a bit dense.
Yeah. I honestly, I was just like, what the fuck is this? But then at the end, I was like, oh, it's because he's a cyborg, something's fucked. All right, gotcha.
But yeah, it's interesting. I like the film. What did you think of?
All right, so originally, like I said, I was really happy the film was short. I was surprised, but that, like I said, that also brought up a concern with me, because as I was watching, I was like, there's a lot of exposition going on, but like, how are they exactly gonna, in an hour and 25 minutes, how exactly do you get a really good story out like that? Because there's something with like the puppet master and all that stuff. So as I was sitting, I did that's him blowing his nose.
Sorry.
No, but I did like the opening. I thought it was really interesting, but like I said, the soundtrack drove me fucking nuts.
Really?
Like, it was so, like, don't get me wrong, it was really good, but then, like, it just kept going on, and the credits are like 3 fucking minutes, and I'm just like, Jesus, is this song gonna go on the whole film? And like I said, visually the film was just great. The settings, even though it was a 1995 film, you really still knew that this was kind of like in the future. Nothing was out. The cast did a really good job. I watched the English dub, which was nice.
I would recommend the English dub as well.
Yeah, there's one with the English subtitles, but the thing about that is that you have to read the subtitles, and they're still talking in Japanese, so it's like, it kind of distracts you from it, because you got to read and look up to see what's happening in the scene. But when it's in English, you can just watch, and they do a good job.
That's always been an issue for me.
Yeah, and I thought my favorite scene, though, I think the garbage man scene was pretty interesting, because it had an interesting story. So what happened here was that there's a garbage man. He's like hacking into shit, and this is what the puppet master uses. So they're all like trying to trail him, and he's just like, oh, I'm trying to hack into my wife's ghost, because I'm trying to figure out why she's fucking leaving me. We have a kid. I don't understand why this is happening. And the dude just next to him is just like, I don't really give a shit, dude. Like, you're fucking annoying me. I'm like, yo, what a dick. And he just kind of babbles on about it, and they eventually catch him. And the way they catch him is interesting, because he just kind of flips over. And the major was kind of a dick. The cop guy who was kind of human? She's like, hey, if you're okay, why don't you get off your ass and arrest him? I'm like, all right, Major, he just got into a car crash. How about just, like, chilling a little bit, all right? Like, Jesus. I was just like, wow, what a bitch. And he arrests him, and then there's the scene where he finds out, oh, no, yeah, you were just fucked with the puppet master. You're single. I've been to your apartment. It's a bachelor pad. There's nothing there. It's like they're so rough with it too, and he's just like freaking the fuck out. And I thought that was a really interesting scene. Kind of shows like how technology is like a big part in the society. And the fact that he fucking got hacked to make memories. Like that shit's crazy.
That's a horrifying thought to think, like, possibly in the future memories can be quantified and then they can be injected into you. And
that's a very big issue that's eventually just gonna come up. And fuck everyone, it's crazy. What else there? Like, there were some visuals, like I said, where she's beating up the guy who gave him the garbage man the card to use, and she like twists his arm and twists everything. And I do love how at the end of the fight he's like, oh, I'm not talking. And they're like, oh, what are you gonna talk about? You're hacked. You have nothing to give us. And I was like, wow, all right, that's intense.
Yeah, I like that. Where like, do you even know your name?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what your mother looks like?
And it was just like, and his face is just like, oh shit, I actually don't. It's like, it's intense. I have a question though. Bato and the Major, did they kind of try to force a love story on it? Because I feel like that, I got vibes from the anime that they were gonna like bang. They never did.
That's always been something that I've really enjoyed actually in almost every instance of Ghost in the Shell.
Because Bato cares about her.
Yes.
But you just don't know if there are feelings involved.
It is very strange. So something if you were to rewatch basically any iteration of Ghost in the Shell, you'll notice that whenever there's like any type of fan servicey like a part or like any time that Makoto might be like kind of naked or something, he always turns away.
Yeah, he does.
He turns away. He's like he kind of gets like a little frustrated, and then he turns away. Yeah. He's very respectful. Even like when she was just knocked out on the floor and just like after her like she broke her arms off.
Yeah, he
and
puts the coat around her.
Yeah, he puts the coat on top of her. So like he doesn't put the coat on top of the other one of the puppet master's
hot chick
body.
Was pretty hot,
but he puts it over Makoto. He's always been very much. It's just been something that I've noticed. It's something I very much enjoy. I don't know why I enjoy it. Just that he's just being so, I guess, not even reluctantly respectful, but just like frustrated and respectful about it. And
I think it's like one of those, because in most movies, they're always just like, yeah, this is a relationship. They love each other. They try to push us. And this one, they're just kind of like, there might be some kind of love-hate relationship. It could be a brother-sister relationship. It could be like a lover relationship. You'll never know. But, just like, it's two people who respect each other, and they care about each other. So let's just leave it at that. We're just kind of there.
And something that always happens in just every iteration is that Bato always wants to come and save Makoto from whatever is happening. Yeah. And then every time he gets there, she always has managed to get herself out of it by the time he gets there. And he always just like, oh damn, well now I can't come save you. Or like even like sometimes like she'll be done and she'll be like finishing up and he's like, why are you here? He's just like, came to save you. He's just like, why?
He's like, oh whoops, but too late. I mean at the end he actually did save her because she was getting fucked up. Yeah. He just like fuck. I think he felt happy. He's like, finally, it was pretty great. I like the whole camouflage idea that they had.
Oh yeah,
I thought that shit was pretty awesome. But that's the thing. It's like, this one kind of bothered me. It was I don't know why. Maybe it's because I don't watch Ghost in the Shell. But they were talking about the puppet master, and they were like, oh yeah, he uses this old virus, and that's why it's untrackable. But I'm like, if you know what the virus is, why don't you just like fix it? Because if it's an old virus, that means you know how to fix it, and there's a reason why it's an old virus. You know what I mean? So like, what is it? Did they ever use that kind of mumbo jumbo in the live action? They're like, oh yeah, he uses the old virus to kind of go, so it's kind of untrackable or some shit like that.
What they did to like in like functionally the same thing. They was just like, oh, he created this like this network of people, and he used them as proxies. Like literally, people were like jacked into like things, and then he would use them
with their wires.
Yeah, and he would use them for like their brain processing power and their location to like create some type of network to make himself undetectable. So typically it seemed like it's just like one of those kind of just hand wave things, just like, oh, he used an old virus and that's why. And it was like, okay, sure, why not?
It's like, sure, it's untrackable, cool, whatever.
All right, cool, that's all we need to know.
He was like, we can still track him though, whatever. But so does everyone have a ghost, or is it like it's like people with mission? Because so Major has like 4 holes, and she uses it to kind of connect to the grid system.
Everybody should have that. Everybody should have those 4 holes.
Oh, even if they're human, because in the anime it doesn't really, because there's a scene where there's a bunch of market people, but they just look like regular people. They don't even look like fucking like robots or anything. So that's what gets me wondering. It's like, is there some people who are working with the government who just have those, or like
no? Most people should have like some kind of neural interface, and where it just kind of like taps it.
That's the world they're in now. It's just that's how it goes.
That's just how it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Because the like I said, that because because it was an hour 25, they didn't really have much time to kind of broaden the expansions. That's what I noticed too. Because they just kind of focused on the story, and it was good. They I didn't really miss anything, and I thought it was directed really well. Actually, that's what got me. Like I remember when I saw the director's name, I'm like, how do you direct an animated film? That's what I'm like. Does he just sit with the creators and just like, yo, I want this character doing that?
I have always wondered that as well, because
I thought it was a stupid question, but I was like, it's weird because it's an animated film. Like how exactly like are you sitting like while they're drawing or looking over their shoulders like create some big boobs for that? It's like how exactly?
I think the way that it works is that like they just kind of have their hand in just about every part of everything,
which makes sense because they're the director. Yeah, it's their vision.
What is interesting to me is that what they have the equivalent of, I guess, like the director of photography is, excuse me, is basically the storyboard artist. And the storyboard artist, like, I don't know if you've ever seen storyboards, are just like they're just like
panels by panels.
Yeah, the panel by panel. And it basically just gives like a really basic layout of what the shot is going to be and like how the shot's going to move. And typically, if you'll notice like you'll notice somebody's style the most when they are both director and the storyboard artist. Now, Japan, the way Japanese industries, specifically their media industries, work is a lot different than Western. Western, because we're a lot more individualistic. We take a lot more pride in like a single person's work, or like having a single person's name, or like having it be attributed to your name. But in Japan, it's much more of a larger group project, where it's a single piece, and it's not really anybody's idea. It's just everybody's working on it and doing their best. And it's very interesting. So when you do come across pieces, like usually it's like specific episodes of animes where the director of the show will come on and be the storyboard artist for that show, and maybe they'll even do
they
some
just kind of help
animation.
each other out, you know? Like
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very interesting different styling of creation.
Yeah.
From Western.
Who directed the live action? Do you know?
The live action was directed by this fucking no-name dude called Rupert Sanders. The only couple of things he did before were a PlayStation commercial. I don't know if you remember the one that like had the guy that like got out the car and he just like was walking and like yelling about greatness and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
He did this music video. And I think those were the only two things I could find attributed to his name.
Fucking big leap from
it
commercial to a movie,
but
especially the Ghost in the Shell, which is something very well known. You know, I mean,
but like exactly as I had thought, his specialty was kind of like dealing with like special effects and like graphics and like.
Okay.
And as I had suspected, the graphics in the movie were amazing.
So he got a W on that part. Yeah. I mean, you'd expect, like, that's the thing with adaptation these days. You know, you would expect the director to be someone who is actually like who knows about what they're directing. You know, they're like, oh yeah, I read the comics. You know, I know what it is. I kind of want to give I want to put it exactly like the way it is. You know, but even then, you know, that's the problem. Like Zack Snyder gets a lot of shit for it too. You know, I mean, Watchmen, like we said, he did it. Let's say page by page, but even then, not all people liked it, you know. So sometimes it just depends on like your luck. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but I heard, you know, that movie Boss Baby?
Yeah.
Apparently beat Ghost in the Shell. I was like, what?
Ghost in the Shell bombed real bad.
I was just like, I read it. I'm like, no fucking way.
Even internationally, it bombed.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and
wow. Even in Japan, they were like, just like, nah, this fucking shit.
I was actually another very interesting thing, and like something that was, I guess, worrisome to me as like a very proud American, is this had a lot of Chinese influence in it.
Yeah, Chinese.
Like, yeah, it was a joint production. Ghost in the Shell was a joint production. The new movie was a joint production between 4 production companies. 2 of them were American and 2 of them were Chinese. And like Togusa, he was a Chinese actor. Makoto's mom, who had like this small role in this random scene, is an Asian actress or Chinese actress. And I think there were like maybe like 2 or 3 other people. That were just like random like Chinese actors.
Chinese coming.
But it was like certain aspects of the film were like it was very Chinese. Like you could feel like you could feel the like not only the influence but like more specifically I could feel like the cultural I guess disconnect with certain scenes. That was just like this is very much meant for a Chinese audience. This is not meant for.
You're just sitting there. You're just like. China, you know, it's like God damn it.
And like it took place in this nondescript Asia city that had a bunch of like Asian shit everywhere. And I was just
not even Japanese, it was Asia. It was like Chinese shit. Like what?
Yeah, and it was interesting just to see. I guess like it's kind of proof of how the Chinese are trying to get into the film industry, or not into the film, get more so into the international film industry, and kind of assert their influence in places. And they're starting to make money. And I think it's like evident with that, like with the Great Wall, and they have this kind of, I think this barrier. I think it's. I think at least a certain percentage of a film needs to be shot within China for it to be shown in China. I didn't know that was a rule. Oh, shit. If you ever watched the movie Now You See Me 2, a lot of it takes place in China because they wanted to have it released in China. I forget what. I think it's like 50%. I think 50% of the film needs to take place in China or need to be shot in China.
Really?
For it to be put into Chinese theaters or something like that.
Holy crap. Wow, that's actually pretty smart. It's like, oh, you want your movie in your theaters? Shoot in my country and we're good, bro.
Yeah, and what is it? Same thing with World of Warcraft. Like World of Warcraft, it didn't do great.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't do great here in America, but it fucking made all of its money back and then some in China.
Really?
Like, yeah, I think it made 600 million in China alone.
Was Kong Skull Island?
I don't know.
Did you watch that movie?
I have not. It looked kind of interesting though, because I saw the trailer and it was had the music and everything.
It was much better than the old Kong film, but that's another topic.
Oh, the Peter Jackson King Kong?
Yeah, because Peter Jackson King Kong was trying to pay tribute to the 1933 film. This Kong Island film was trying to do its own thing because it's trying to do a crossover. So, everything was really... With Godzilla? 2020?
Oh, they're gonna... What?
Yeah, dude. It's awesome.
Oh, is it gonna be American Godzilla?
Yeah.
Oh god, American Godzilla sucks. The new Godzilla, the new Japanese Godzilla, the new Shin Godzilla, it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's directed by Hideaki Anno. He's the guy who did Evangelion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The new Godzilla looks pretty badass. So, I mean, honestly, everything about it was fucking awesome. And Kong looks really great. And I mean, spoiler. I don't want to.
Who cares?
All right, spoiler alert. But the size Kong is in the movie. He's gonna grow bigger. They're saying that he's still growing. There's a line that literally says, "Oh, Kong's the biggest and he's still growing," and I'm just like, ah. It's like, oh shit. So it's like everyone's like, oh, Kong's too small. I was like, alright, bitch, wait till 2020. Kong's a big ass Godzilla. Watch. So it's like a really great hype film. And like I said, the reason I bring up Kong Skull Island because I feel like that'd be a movie that'd be a big hit in China. I don't know why. I mean, even in Japan too, because like, oh, Godzilla, King Kong. So
I think it's like the fact that if you have a simple premise, kind of like just like two big monsters fighting, like
that's great enough. I've had friends that tell me, oh, I don't want to watch Kong. I'm like, it's a fucking gorilla fighting shit. What else do you need?
There's no cultural barrier to big monsters fighting. It's big monsters fighting.
Yeah, it's just big monsters. You don't need anything else. I mean, like, this is like, oh, where he comes from. I was like, you don't give a fuck. They're fighting. It's awesome. But so Kong Skull Island is a really great movie. I actually, maybe that's a good review point. Like I would love to do a comparison between the 2005 and the Kong Skull Island because there were definitely a lot of differences, which I really did appreciate. But so before we wrap up, we have 3 minutes left. So which one would you prefer? Like, let's say someone came to you and was like, hey, yo, I want to watch Ghost in the Shell, but should I watch the Scarlett Johansson film or the anime? What would you say?
It would depend on what kind of person they are. If they're kind of like enjoy like cerebral type stuff, and like like getting into like more complicated concepts, I would recommend the Ghost in the Shell film, the 95 film.
Yeah, okay.
But if they just want like a quick like taste, like not have to pay attention too hard to it, I would recommend the new Ghost in the Shell film.
All right.
It's very
fair enough.
It's very easy to get into. It's not too complicated. It has a really nice like visual aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's really just general like overall basic. Like it's not that difficult to get into.
Right.
But if you really want to dive deep into that Ghost in the Shell,
like you want to know what exactly is happening, just so go to the anime because they usually do go into a lot of technical about it.
And then go to the show. The Ghost in the Shell standalone complex.
Is it on Netflix?
It is not, no. But it was I think, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best anime dubs I've ever seen.
Yeah, the dubs were actually really interesting because, like, they like the mouths almost seemed to match up, and I was really surprised because I've seen some dubs and they were fucking bad. I saw a Godzilla dub once; it was the worst shit I've ever seen in my life.
Something that I liked about this was that because like there was a lot of visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Excuse me. Sorry. Because there was so much visual storytelling. They did not need as much dialogue. Like they didn't need to match up the dialogue as much as another film would have to. So I guess it probably saved them money on like voice actors and like dubbing and matching and stuff like that. And I don't know. I always like to see like the little production cut corners to like make things easier, so that they make one thing easier so that they can take more time in another department. And I always like
that's great. Yeah. All right, so it's 2:54. We got almost like less than a second. So yeah, that was Ghost in the Shell. Honestly, I would definitely recommend the anime because I loved it. I thought it was awesome. So definitely catch that movie if you want. You can watch the live action, like Leo said. It depends on what kind of person you are. So definitely. So as of now, we don't know if we have a show next week. But if we do, I would definitely. I got really excited about King Kong, so I would really like to talk about the 2005 King Kong.
2005.
It's have you ever watched it?
I have not. I think I played the Xbox game.
Those Xbox again? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
it was like a release title. And
What?
It was
Man, I
like
gotta
kind of
play that.
garbage, and it had like you were able to you got the 1,000 gamer score for just beating the fucking game.
Yeah, well, King Kong for its time was known for his effects, which honestly is a very big thing we're going to talk about. The effects were fucking amazing. But, story-wise, it's interesting. So we'll talk about that. So if we do come in next week, King Kong 2005. If we don't, then the week after King Kong 2005.
Yeah.
And, if you have time, you should probably watch Kong Skull Island.
Yeah, I'll try to get
It'd be
that.
pretty awesome, man. It's fucking great.
I still got a copy of Logan on bootleg sitting on my computer.
Oh, yeah. You got to watch Logan, too. All right, guys. So it's 2:55. I'm Rumman. Thanks for listening. And this is
Leo.
This was Movie Talks, and we'll see you either next week or the week after. Happy spring break, guys.
Hopefully.
Bye.
See you.